Hi guys, welcome.
Welcome. We're just going to give everyone a chance to get into the chat. Looks like pretty much everyone is in, and I'm not seeing a lot of stragglers. So,
all right. Hello. Welcome. This is the 50th Tutorial Tuesday.
Woohoo!
Yay! So I'm Suzanne Nielsen, and Laura Cameron is also with us here. We are your hosts, and Zen Yarn Garden, of course, is our sponsor. And they are giving away a $50 gift certificate today. So I think that's why we have a lot of people. So thank you for coming. And we are going to do that gift certificate at the end, I think, right, Laura?
Mm-hmm.
So we're excited. But today we're talking about the skipping on cloud 9 Mobius pattern. And that's this. Although I was just saying it looks a little blue in the camera today. It's really, this color is a little bit more of a teal. It's the In the Grove Luxe Cake by Zen Yarn Garden. And I think Laura's going to show us that more later too. But I'm going to be covering the cast on and some tips and tricks for this Mobius. This is a Mobius that's in kind of this series. I've done a bunch of Mobius designs that are all on cloud 9. And so this is just another kind of version. This one's a little bit different. It really is truly reversible. So both sides look exactly the same. It's a little bit bigger because I wanted to use the whole Luxe Cake. So you can wrap it twice and still get it to go over your shoulders, or you can pull it up and wear it more like a cowl. Or you can even wrap it 3 times if you wanted a little bit more around your neck. But before we get into that, I get to tell you about my latest, another pattern that I just released, which is the Zen Zip Tee. And this one is, there are kits for it on the Zen Yarn Garden website, which Laura will show us. And we're also going to be doing a knit along coming up next week. When is that, Laura?
The first one starts on December 11th.
Yeah, December 11th coming up. So this one, it's really fun. It's knit sideways, if you can tell. And the kit comes with 3 different colors. So I'll show you mine. It has 3 different colors on the back, the sides, and the front. And it's completely customizable. So you take your bust measurement, but you also take your hip measurement. And then you account for a difference, since we're all different shapes and sizes. So if your bust is larger than your hips, or if your hips are larger than your bust or not, we account for all of that. And we also do waist height. So if you are very long-waisted and things don't fit you, like me, we can account for that. If you're short-waisted, then we can account for that. And you can choose which length you want to make it. This is obviously a little bit longer. Also, you can choose your base color. So in this one, my base color was the dark. And then I kept the other colors, where they are. But so you have a choice of like a dark base color or a light one. And Laura, why don't you show us yours too? She picked out her colors already.
I am very excited. So the kits themselves come with 3 of our kind of baby minis. These are all 25 gram and 100 yards, and we put them together in sets of 3. So mine is called Diving Goggles and Diving Goggles. So basically we've got sort of a little bit of a variegated in like a darker full color. We've got the very light kind of speckled colorway, and then we've got the one in between that has all the colors and white. So in practice, this one knits up very speckled, this one knits up a little bit more variegated, and then this one tends to be a little bit more solid, although some of the other colorways are not like a single color for there. This is kind of orange and red in here, so it kind of is in the same color family. And then I chose to do, because these are fall harvest colors, I held it next to the natural but I didn't like the way that looked. So I think I'm actually going to do mine with the Midnight, which is just a black. All of these are dyed on our superfine fingering base, which is 90% superwash merino, superfine superwash merino, and 10% nylon. And these skeins are 400 yards a piece. And then these little ones are 100 yards a piece. But again, like I said, they come in a 3-pack. So let me show you on my screen. Let's just take a look at where these are on the Zen Yarn Garden site. So we have hang on just a second, my computer's a little bit slow tonight. Okay, so this is the Zen Zip Tee yarn and pattern, and what you can see is each of these kits, you can choose your, basically you can choose from a 3-color set. So you can't pick and choose from each of the sets, you have to choose a trio, and she has put together the pictures of what the trios are here, and then you can decide if you want your natural colorway, which is going to be, excuse me, get from my coffers, you get either your natural colorway, which is kind of an off-white, it's not a bright white, but it's kind of an off-white natural color, or then you can get the Midnight, which is the black. So, and kits are available in all sorts of sizes because the pattern is generously sized. I can't tell you, I think the smallest is to a 34 bust and the largest is for a 57.
But it can be adjusted too. So it really doesn't matter.
This is super customizable to your fit. So you can purchase a kit if you would like. If you would like to join our knit along, there is also a registration, which I have put all of these links in the chat. You'll get access to a sort of private Facebook group, which is just the people in the knit along, which also has Suzanne and me and Roxanne. So you can ask questions, share your photos as you're going on. The Zoom, we will meet 3 times. We're meeting once in December. We're meeting this Sunday, December 11th, at I believe
and then in January
7 p.m. Eastern, and then we have 2 meetings in January. Now I was trying to remember the dates, and then 2 meetings.
But the sessions are recorded too, so
yes, and the sessions
you have to
are
miss
recorded.
one or whatever.
Yeah, you'll have access to them afterwards. So while I'm on the website, just so I don't have to share again, this is what we've got coming up, and we're very excited about this. Tonight, we are looking at the Skipping on Cloud 9. Let me close a few of these pop-ups. We're looking at the Skipping on Cloud 9 Mobius kit. As Suzanne said, she knit it in the In the Grove Luxe Blank cake.
That's the colorway,
pictured in the sample. You can also choose pretty much any colorway. And if you order the kit, it says, let's see, if you prefer another colorway in the Luxe Blank, please order from this link and purchase the pattern separately from Ravelry. So you can order the kit and we will gift you the pattern, or if you prefer something that's not listed here, you can also choose something else. And the pattern itself is available on Ravelry. If you have a Luxe Blank or a Luxe Cake in your stash and you were just waiting for the perfect pattern, it is here, it is on Ravelry, and you can pull it from there. So I'm going to stop and revert back to Suzanne so she can talk to you about tonight's knit along.
Yay. All right. So Mobius cast on. There are links in the pattern for little short videos of these different techniques. So this is the time to really ask questions and hear me explain it in one go. So let's see, I'm gonna switch to my camera here so I can show you and talk about it a little bit. Sorry, I did not.
I just realized we didn't test this.
Yeah, I usually do, and now I'm, there we go. Usually I have my quick shortcut, but all right, here we go. Let's get all this stuff out of the way. All right, so with the Mobius cast on, you do need a cable that is a 40-inch cable. And that is because you need your needle tips to be able to come around and knit with this loop of cable also there. So don't try to skimp, don't do a 35-inch or whatever the next size down is. Make sure it is a 40-inch cable. And to cast on, we are going to use one of the needles. So you'll take one needle in your right hand and then take the loop of the the cable and kind of let it loop around. Like I said, we're going to be knitting like this. So hold like the middle of the loop. Maybe I should have chosen a different cable here. But anyway, hold the middle of the cable, let the other needle just fall to the back. Right now, we're just holding the needle and a loop of the cable. All right, so then we'll take our yarn and make a slip knot. You don't need really any more of a tail than just to weave in. We put that slip knot on the needle. Don't pull it down really tight or anything. Just leave a loose slip knot. And then we're going to be holding the yarn and the cable in our left hand. And we'll go dip under the cable, grab the yarn, and pull it back up. And so that left one loop. We're not counting the slip knot. So we're not counting that at all. So now I have one stitch on the needle and I have one down below here. And I actually, my slip knot is getting a little, I'll show you on the next one, and then do a yarn over. So that we're just going to repeat that. So dip under the cable, grab the yarn and bring it up. And see how doing that action actually put 2 loops on this cable. And then we do a yarn over to get another loop on the needle. But we're not going to count any of the loops that go on the cable. All I'm counting are loops that go on the needle. Okay, so the pattern tells you how many loops to put on the needle. So that I have, not counting the stitch marker or the slip knot, sorry, I have 4 right now. All right, so dip under, grab one, and do a yarn over. Dip under, grab one, do a yarn over. So we're gonna keep doing that for a very long time because it is a lot of stitches to cast on. But bear with me, this casting on is the hardest part. And after that, it's just gonna be a project that you can pick up and put down, and it's really nice. I like to have a Mobius project going because it's just a really easy one to grab. You don't have to think about it once you're going. You just go and stop and start at any point. So you let the stitches build up along. I'm going to do a few more just so we can see. And then I have another one prepared over here that will show us. I'll show you how it looks. But so your stitches are going to start sliding. Keep them kind of together. Don't really stretch them out far like that. I mean, it's not a huge critical if you don't, but all right. So after you get a whole bunch of stitches, then you're going to start scooching them around. And I've got another one here where I already did a whole bunch of stitches. So I can show you what it looks like to start knitting. All right, so once you've done that a whole bunch of times, here's my last yarn over. I was just going under, grabbing the yarn, doing yarn overs, however many stitches. So I would highly recommend that you count, maybe 50 stitches and then place a stitch marker just to save yourself the trouble of having to go back and count. So just place some stitch markers as you go, because it is a lot of stitches. So once we get to the end, or once we have all the stitches, it will be possible to scooch the stitches around a little bit, and your needles, your cable will kind of stay together, and your needle will come up and it'll be kind of in knitting position here. So scooch, scooch, scooch. We do want to make sure if you just left your cable floating behind, like how I started, it shouldn't be too much of an issue, but you'll notice that the cable will cross over once. You don't want it to cross over more than once. Again, you shouldn't really have to think about this, but just in case your cat grabs this or something, and you want to make sure that things didn't get twisted around, look at your cable and line it up. See, it's like parallel, and then I have one time here where the cable crosses and comes up over here. So I just have one kind of cross to get back to here. And you'll see my slip knot is on the cable below, in between the needles. So this is, now we can put a stitch marker here to mark our beginning of round. So as you're going, as you're getting started, oh, great, I just dropped my stitch marker. Let me get another one. So you'll put a stitch marker to mark the beginning of your Mobius round. This slip knot occurs at the middle of the Mobius round, and we'll just take that out once we get there. But for now, I will show you what it looks like on here. All right, so the other thing that occurs with Mobius knitting is your first half of your round, your stitches are some of them are gonna be mounted backwards. And that's just by nature of this Mobius cast on. And so we're just gonna work into the front leg of the stitch that's coming up. So in the pattern, let's see, I'll end with, without doing that yarn over, but the pattern has you do a yarn over at the beginning and then knit, whoops. Okay, and then knit, it is hard at the beginning, especially, so if it feels awkward, you're doing it right. So knit, and then this one, see how the leading leg is at the back of the needle? So I'm just gonna knit into that leading leg, which is really like knitting into the back loop of this stitch and then pulling it off. But this one is mounted with the leading leg towards the front. So again, just knit or purl, however the pattern is, whatever it's telling you to do, we just work it. And actually, now I'm second guessing myself here. I think we might have let me look for a second. Yeah, we're doing a setup round where we're just gonna knit 10 stitches and then purl 10 stitches. So it's kind of, yeah. So we'll do that all the way around. So I forgot if I don't know if I got to 10 or not yet, but anyway, you do 10 knit stitches and then you'll purl. All right, and the same idea, when you're purling, you're always working into that leading leg, whichever that is. And once you get to however many, you just switch back and forth and go all the way around. I'm obviously not going to get all the way around, but that's what you do for that first part. And then once you reach the slip knot, you're going to be doing just like a knit so many and then knit two together and then a yarn over, but that your stitches will be normal at that point. So let's see, if you have any questions, please stop me.
No, so far we just got asked the name for this cast on, and it's a Mobius cast on.
Yes, it's just a Mobius cast on. There's a couple, it's basically the same for a lot of different patterns. But I do it a tiny bit different than like some other designers have you knit into that slip knot, or they have you like put the slip knot on your needles, but then it basically works out to the same. I just hate knitting into a slip knot because it like anchors yourself. And if you don't knit into the slip knot, if you just take that slip knot out, you can adjust your stitches a little bit if they're super loose at the beginning or something. It just gives you that flexibility. So that's why I like to do it, but it's really not critical and it doesn't matter. So what happens when you're knitting this Mobius is your cast on is in the middle here. And so as you work, you're building up stitches on either side of this middle.
but you're always on the front of your work. And so after you get past the cast on and the first 2 rows, I would say like set aside a little time and just do the cast on the first 2 rows. And after that, it's just like easy street knitting. Take to your knitting group, take, you know, to Christmas with the family or whatever, so that you can be interrupted, or you can be watching movies or doing anything. That's why I love having a Mobius. It's still kind of fun because it feels like it's a little bit magical, but anyway, that's my spiel here. So I did want to show you a couple more stitches in the pattern that after you get going, after you get past those first 2 rounds, there's one other little tricky thing. And I will show that to you now if there's not any other questions. All right, so I have just a little sample here. You can see, let's look at the actual knitting here. The actual knitting will look like this on your needles. Oh, it's hard to see here, isn't it? Okay, maybe this section. So you can see here's like a stockinette section. And then there's, you can see a knit 2 together ridge here. So a nice chain. Gosh, why aren't you focusing here? And then a section that's purled with yarn overs separating these sections. And so that's what's going to happen on your needles. And so that's what I have right here, just a little tiny sample to show you how that looks. So here's the that knit 2 together ridge, and then yarn overs, purls, and then another yarn over. But the tricky thing is we want it to be reversible, right? So here's the reverse of what's happening. So on this side, you know, here's my purled section. And of course, on the reverse, it looks like the stockinette, you know, the knit side. And I want this nice line. And so that's where it gets a little tricky. And I'll show you how to do that. All right. So as you're working along, it's going to be completely the same all the time. So you're going to start, it's going to be like yarn over. And I just did that at the beginning of my needles. And then you're going to knit until you have 2 stitches before this yarn over that you'll see. And you'll just knit these 2 together. So that knit 2 together gives us a nice decrease that's slanting off to the right. And it's just a nice chain, right? That looks really nice. And then you'll do a yarn over and then purl. The trick is, how do you get a purl? How do you purl these 2 stitches together to get them to look like a nice chain on the front? So I need to work these 2 purl stitches together. And let's look at the back here. I want it to look like a nice chain on the back side. So instead of, we have to do a slip, slip, purl 2 together through the back loop. That's like, sounds like a mouthful, and it's, you know, written out like SSLP to TBL, you know, but that's all it means. Slip, slip, knit 2 together through the back loop. So you slip it knitwise, because I do want to rearrange these stitches basically. So slip 2 stitches knitwise, then place them back on the left needle, and then take this needle and go all the way around the back and come in behind and purl those 2 stitches together through the back loop. All right. So just like on my on the Skipping on Cloud 9, it's the same idea. But if you're familiar with that one, you'll remember that I did a little trick in that one, and I did it the whole time so that you didn't have to do that slip slip. You could just go straight to purl together through the back loop. And so I'm going to show you how to do that this time too. So if you want to set yourself up for it on the previous round, instead of doing our normal purl stitch on these last 3, I'm going to do something a little bit different. And I'm going to do it to this stitch, which is just a normal purl.
because the next round, this stitch is going to get involved in this working two together. So for me, I work all of these purl stitches just the normal way. But when I got to this purl stitch, I wrapped my yarn the opposite way. So normally you look at the point of your needle and wrap it counterclockwise. But to do it the opposite way, you wrap it clockwise. And I'll show that without, holding the yarn in my other hand as well. And then if it was here, I have to do the slip because I put them back on the right way. If it was already mounted the other way, it would look like this when you came to it. And all you would do is go to the back and purl, wrapping your yarn the opposite way.
Okay, a couple things. At the beginning, you said that you demonstrated this trick, and then you said in skipping on cloud 9, but this is skipping on cloud 9. So what's the other one that uses
in driving on cloud 9? Yeah.
Okay, so this is a technique that is used in driving on cloud 9, and basically what Suzanne is saying is that she's pre-knitting the stitch that will be in the slip slip purl through the back loop on the next section, so that she's seating it on the needle in the opposite direction so that you don't actually have to slip it.
Yeah. So I'm going to just quickly get back to that point. So since I want to stay always on this side of my work, that's why I'm just slipping. I'm just carrying my yarn all the way across so that I can knit this row again, or pretend like I'm being.
We're knitting a sample flat that's supposed to be knit in the round.
Correct. Thank you.
Because part of the Mobius is, and we probably should have explained this up front, is that a Mobius is a line that is unending. It kind of twists so that it curves back on itself. Many of you have done this unintentionally when you have cast on for a hat or a sweater, and you get to the end of the round and you're like, oh no, my round is twisted and now I can't make anything useful out of it. When you actually intentionally create a Mobius cast on, what you're doing is you're creating stitches on both sides of the cast on so that you are basically working each loop twice. You're working it on one side of the cast on, and then it magically kind of flows through the twist to the other side of the cast on. If you've never looked at a Mobius, take like a flat ribbon or something and put one twist in it and then put the ends together, and you'll be able to see how it kind of or I guess it's a half twist, twists on itself.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we're creating here. And so I wanted to explain the mechanics of that, because you are always going to be knitting in the round and you're always going to be on the right side of the work. So all of these tricks that Suzanne is teaching you, you'll just be working one direction the whole time.
Yes. Yes. Sorry. There really is a lot to cover. There really is. I always think that, it takes less time, but the Mobius is an interesting thing. So anyway, I just was going to show you what it looks like when you get back and you have already pre-mounted your stitches differently. So when I get to the last 3, so I'm supposed to work these 2 together. This one, I'm going to wrap it. Oh, I was going to show you, using throwing. Also, maybe I'm very not as good at throwing, but so here, instead of doing our normal wrap around this direction, I'm going to come and wrap this way. And you don't even have to do this. You can just do that slip if you want to. And then these 2 are already mounted, right? So I just come through the backs of them and then wrap my yarn the opposite way again. And that is it. So as you're working the Mobius, just some of the tricks are just make sure that that your knit 2 together and you're working 2 in the purl 2 together are right before the yarn over stitch, and always
and we'll just like help make sure. So if you get around and you have like one extra stitch, just knit 2 together, or just get rid of it and make sure that it works out as the pattern says, because it is a lot of stitches to cast on. But if you kind of know what's supposed to happen and what's going on, then you can just keep that going. But let's pause and wait for people to ask any questions and do the gift certificate.
Okay. So open your chat windows, and I'm going to ask a question. I will take the 5th person, and that person will win a $50 gift card. It says, can't see anything in the dark green. Also, the shadows are affecting viability. So yeah, it's just hard to see the colors.
Bright lights in here, but.
Okay, so open your chat window. The question is, what cast on did Suzanne teach us tonight?
Ooh.
Okay, everybody's getting it. So let me run through and figure out who was 5th. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's Katrine. That is you. So please message Roxanne in chat, and she will get you your $50 gift card. To remind you, I'm going to put the links in the chat again. If you are interested in the Skipping on Cloud 9 kit, that is here. Also, there is 20% off today and tomorrow on both this one, and I also believe the Zen Zip Tee pattern. You'll just add those to your cart. There is no discount code for those, and you can join us on the Zen Zip Tee. We start this Sunday for the knit along. So if you are interested in that, we will be meeting Sunday night at I believe 7 Eastern. I will let you hang on. I'm talking and writing at the same time. So did you have something to add? I don't want to.
Oh no, I was, I feel like I've taught whole classes on this before. I don't know why I thought I could squeeze it all into one little time, but there are links in the pattern that are more succinct than I just mumbled through that show the cast on, and you can always rewatch this one. I was hoping that my little sample would be a little bit better to see it on, but maybe that wasn't the case, hopefully. And yeah, but I would really encourage you to do a Mobius if you haven't tried one. They're just really fun. And they, this one also, I didn't get to it, but we do have an I-cord cast on, which I've done lots of tutorials on too, but it is an I-cord. And I will show you on this.
It's a bind off, not a cast on.
What? Oh, sorry, bind off. Yes, I-cord bind off. Just a little bit of the magic of Mobius. So I have this stitch marker. I know it's dark, but I'm going to place it. I'm going to place it on my knitting here. And you'll see when you go to cast off, you'll start casting off and you'll just follow, along here. I'm following along. And at some point, I'll get to a point where right here, you can see my marker down there. So I'm like halfway, I'm across from that marker, but I keep going and keep going and keep going. And I magically will get back to my marker.
Yeah, Mobius is a continuous line.
Yes, like mathematically, it's a continuous surface that has like 2 continuous borders that don't intersect. So anyway, it's interesting.
So if you want to refer to this again, we will be publishing it tonight or tomorrow on our YouTube channel, as with all of our other 50 YouTube tutorial Tuesdays. So you can always refer back. And the I-cord bind off was one of those. We covered that in a bunch of sections on cast-ons and bind offs. So you will find that also on our tutorial Tuesdays. And does anybody else have any questions? I think I've put all the links in the chat. If you would like to save the chat, click the 3 buttons next to the icon down at the bottom, right about where you type your message, and you can click save chat, and that will save all the links for you.
Oh, I forgot one thing too. I forgot to tell you why I called this the Zen Zip Tee. I don't know if you can see it here, but it has this little bit of a decorative thing. So that is actually 2 sets of live stitches that are coming together. And you're just kind of doing this little zip technique that doesn't even use any yarn, but it makes a little bit of a decorative nice edge bind off here. So that's why it's called Zen Zip.
Okay.
And what else did I forget, Laura? I feel like I forgot a lot today. I'm sorry.
No, I think that's good. Like I said, we're going to be starting the Zen Zip Tee knit along that's coming Sunday. We will be taking a break from Tutorial Tuesdays and everything else for a little bit after that, and then we will meet up with you again in the new year. I know we have some new projects. Suzanne has some new patterns. I'm knitting some new samples. I just sent a couple samples off to the photographer today, so we will have more Tutorial Tuesdays and more knit alongs in the new year. We're kind of on the winding down side, but yeah, don't forget to shop the website this evening or tomorrow. And I had one note about shipping. In the US, it's still $49 and over, gets you free domestic shipping. In Canada, it is going to be $99 and over to get free shipping because Canadian postal rates have increased quite a bit. So that doesn't affect you if you're ordering from the US, only if you're ordering from Canada.
Yay.
Okay, if we don't see you again, happy holidays, and we'll see you in the new year.
Yes. Thanks for joining us.